FM, Abuja.
The time is 12 noon. Good afternoon and welcome to Citizen FM News at Noon. I am Philomena Okolo. Deposit money banks have begun to ration the disbursement of old 1,500 notes to their customers amid uncertainty over whether the Central Bank of Nigeria will release the old notes in its custody. This came about 24 hours after the Central Bank of Nigeria Governor Godwin Emefiele announced that old 1,000 naira, 500 naira, and 200 naira notes remained legal tender. The Apex Bank's position came on the heels of several weeks of confusion over the legal status of the old currencies amid a series of Supreme Court judgments in a suit between some state governments and the federal government. The declaration by the Central Bank of Nigeria was expected to put an end to the scarcity of old and new naira notes that had inflicted pain on Nigerians.
I even bring my child to come and take over my land before me. Later he failed it. I still joins the line. The ATM, you can look at it, there's nothing inside. If you can look at it, all of them is out of service. And we are here to collect it, but there's no more on ATM now.
As it is now, there is no any dispensing of the money from the ATM, which no one can tell you the real reason what is happening. They have been here. If there is any problem, we're supposed to know there is problem. But nobody come out to come and make any useful information that this is what makes the money not to be dispensing.
Like I'm here now, they debit me for many things I bought. But the people that I bought them from, they did not receive it.
And those were some reactions on the naira scarcity. With a few days to the March 18 governorship and House of Assembly polls, political parties and their supporters have been urged to shun violence. Chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission, Professor Mahmood Yakubu, and the National Security Advisor, Major General Babagana Monguno, gave their appeal on Tuesday during the Interagency Consultative Committee on Election Security. Specifically, Yakubu implored political parties, candidates, and their supporters to see the election as a contest, not a war.
The state elections will involve 1,021 constituencies, 28 governorship, and 993 state assembly seats. It is therefore important for parties and candidates to speak to their agents and supporters to see the elections as a contest and not war. They should refrain from acts of violence that may mar the elections or compromise the security of our personnel, observers, the media, service providers, and even the security personnel deployed to protect the process.
I suffer a lot.
The National Security Advisor, Babagana Monguno, also called on political players to respect the rules of engagement during and after the polls in the interest of all.
Comply with the rules. We must also allow everyone, I've said this so many times, to exercise their fundamental rights as citizens of this country. And we're also calling on the political bigwigs, the gladiators, to call their lieutenants to order anybody who is itching to undermine this process should please think again. It is not in his own interest, it is not in the interest of the nation as well.
Meanwhile, the chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission, Professor Mahmood Yakubu, says the commission is setting up a legal team to deal with cases of electoral offenders during the February 25 presidential and National Assembly polls. The INEC boss spoke at the meeting of the Interagency Consultative Committee on Election Security in Abuja on Tuesday. Yakubu advised political parties to caution their supporters, stressing that the March 18 governorship and state assembly elections are a contest, not a war. Governor David Umahi of Ebonyi State says zoning should be used to determine the leadership of the National Assembly. The governor stated this after meeting privately with President Muhammadu Buhari in his Abuja office on Tuesday. Governor Umahi, who's also recently got elected into the Senate to represent Ebonyi South District, told State House correspondents that the party considers certain parameters to carry all regions along rather than allow everyone to jump into the race. He, however, declined to speak further on the issue following directives by the party leadership to halt conversations on the matter until after the upcoming governorship and state assembly elections of March 18.
Well, I'm a party man and, very committed to, decent process. The party and, of course, the president-elect, directed that we shouldn't talk about that yet. We should all go back and work for, gubernatorial election and state assembly election. And I want to obey that directive, not to talk about it. But I believe strongly that, zoning, must be done by the party. The party should not allow people to, everybody to jump to the race. And in doing zoning, when the time comes, they must look at, all the parameters so that we can carry all the regions, along. The commission.
And that was the voice of David Umahi of Ebonyi State. The outgoing British High Commissioner to Nigeria, Catriona Laing, has described Nigeria's politics as fascinating, saying it offered a better future for democratic governance in the country. She stated this amid litigations trailing the presidential and National Assembly elections conducted by the Independent National Electoral Commission on February 25. The British envoy stated this while speaking with journalists after she paid a courtesy visit to the President of the Senate, Ahmed Lawan, yesterday. She said despite controversies that greeted the process of election by some political actors, the nation's politics was fascinating and showed a bright future for the country.
Democracy in Africa. Nigeria is one of the most important countries in Africa, so the world watches your progress to democracy. And although there were, a lot of some disappointments in this election, I think overall Nigerians should be proud. Since 1999, you've stuck with democracy, and that cannot be taken for granted because you look at the region as a whole. A lot of countries have had coups, presidents who refuse to step down. The electoral map here looks very different. You're moving to a three-party system, maybe even four. And I think Nigerians overall should recognize their vote does.
President of the Senate, Ahmed Lawan, however, advised the incoming 10th National Assembly to place national interest above all considerations in taking decisions. Any approach to the contrary, he said, will thwart every attempt by the incoming parliament to achieve stability in governance and maintain a harmonious relationship with the executive for the benefit of the Nigerian people.
Outstanding issues in the near future what the new administration will have. But we still have about 2 months for this administration to finish its term. And I believe that we still have issues like security to fix. We have to do about. It doesn't matter if one day left. We still are responsible for making the security situation better in Nigeria. And I think that commitment of the presidency and Shazam, we can improve this situation for the final days of the administration.
Now onto the foreign scene. A Russian fighter jet on Tuesday dumped fuel on an American drone over the Black Sea and then collided with it, causing the drone to crash. The United States military said, slamming the maneuver as reckless. United States European Command said 2 Russian Su-27 fighters intercepted the unmanned MQ-9 Reaper over international waters as one clipped its propeller. Moscow denied causing the crash of the drone, which the Pentagon said was on a routine ISR, intelligence, surveillance, reconnaissance mission. And that was Citizen FM News at noon. I am Philomena Okolo. Up next is Perspectives with Ryo. Do stay with us.